starting the meeting or whatever.
We're starting the meeting. I don't know what to say. I don't have anything.
All right, so our chair and our vice chair are currently attending another meeting remotely, and we expect them to join shortly, but we are going to go ahead with whatever business we can do in the meantime.
Good
So
idea.
I guess I will start with my administrator's report.
Yes, Mary, why don't you start with the administrator's report?
Thank you,
What a fine
Tom.
suggestion, Tom.
All right. Yeah, so it's been a very busy couple of weeks. A lot of trees that people were asking about. So we had tree removal. I granted permission on 21 Grove Street for 3 trees along Center Brook. 11 Rockdale Hill. I guess I have pictures of most of these. This is 21 Grove Street. This is only showing one of the trees. These trees, every single one of them was dead and about 30 feet from the house. 46 Elm Street. They're putting in a garage up. And so this is just a erosion and sedimentation control permit. They're keeping all the work without outside the 100-foot buffer, but there is buffer on their property to a wetland, but it's on the other side of Kiwanis Beach Road. So they should be starting to. This is 110 Main Street. And there was so it's kind of near the post office behind like a duplex there or something. So a bunch of clearing went on and there was a complaint about it. If anyone knows like who owns that property and has a phone number for them, let me know so I can get a hold of them. Otherwise I gotta send them a letter.
Where is it, Mary?
So if you know where the post office is, it's on the left side as you're coming from town, like 2 houses before the post office. There's like a big kind of beautiful old duplex or maybe whatever, and it's behind there. And so, and I'm not sure that there's wetland there. The person who complained about it thought there might be wetland, but even if there's no wetland, it's a pretty large clearing, so they probably should have gotten like a stormwater permit for it because it's a large clearing. So I don't think they've done any new work, but I do need to get in touch with them.
Does it look like it's a house lot that somebody's clearing for building, or is it something different?
I don't know what they're doing with it. That's a good question. I guess you could put houses back there. I mean, it might be there's already a multi-family house on it. I don't know what's going on back there. So.
Looks like a job for the assessor. They can find out who lives there.
Yeah.
Or who owns it.
Yeah, it's easy to figure out who owns it. It's always nice if you have a phone number though, instead of having to write a letter.
Oh, yeah.
But we can do letters too.
Mary, how far is it from the houses that are behind there? There's some condos and things up there, aren't there?
Yeah, and maybe I should pull up Mass Mapper so you can
Is that
see where it is.
how far away is that? It could be.
So I'm standing on the parking lot of not the post office, but next to the post office there's like a law office or whatever.
Yep.
I'm standing on that parking lot. I didn't trespass to go onto the land. It's right there. So I'll pull up Mass Mapper if you guys want to see exactly where it is. So it's this lot right here.
Oh.
And if we put the aerial on, you can see there's just a ton of woods back there. So I don't know what they're.
Yeah, I've often
they're
looked back
planning to
there
do
and
now.
wondered, like, what was back there, because it looked so wooded, and I didn't know if it was private land or what the story was, so.
Had they just left the trees there, Mary, or were they hadn't removed any yet? Or were they?
There's a few piles of trees, yeah. Yeah, and actually looking at now that I look at the lot lines, I think they cleared their whole wooded area.
Huh,
It's about, yeah, they
What?
cleared the whole thing. So maybe they wanted just a nicer backyard or something. I don't know, but this is, clearly rental units. Or maybe they're thinking of putting more rental units there. I don't know if that's possible, but it might be.
A garage or something? There's no driveway there.
right,
Yeah, well, the frontage would be, it's all with this parcel here.
Yeah,
right.
And there is a driveway going into that lot. I don't know if you could tear down and build more, but the driveway, you can see the cars parked there.
Yeah. Yeah, so. That's.
There
the
it
rest
is.
of it. Yeah,
thank you, Mary.
yes, and then. More trees, 11 Rockdale Hills Circle, they pretty much took out all these pines. They were about 40 or 50 feet from their house. Again, these huge white pines. And then you can't really tell, but there's an intermittent stream back there. Here's the stream going through the yard. Cobbler's Creek. They're starting phase 2 and 3 now. So I did a walk of the erosion controls for phase 2 and 3. That's a pretty long walk.
Mm,
So yeah, they're getting started on that. And this is gonna need a vote. So this is 17 Showmaker Lane. This is part of Cobbler's Creek. And the bounds have not been installed yet, but from looking at the plans, as far as I can tell, they cleared all the way up to the edge of the open space. So this gentleman who wants to remove 3 trees, the trees would most likely be within the open space, which I don't, it hasn't even been transferred to conservation or whatever. I'm not sure what's happening to it. But I told him he needed permission to pull them down because they weren't part of, eventually it was supposed to be part of the open space. So it's 3. There's 1, 2, and then a third that is, I didn't put both pictures in. A third one over here. They're all white pine. I think when you clear all the way up to the edge like that, obviously some of the trees, are damaged. And
Why does he want them taken down, Mary? I don't know where the house is or whatever.
yeah, he's I'm standing pretty close to his deck. So yeah, he's just concerned about, now these ones are leaning or seem to be leaning more toward his house, but
Yeah, no, I just want to know. I mean, I understand a lot of people, you have big trees that can crash through your house. It gets people nervous.
yeah, and there was a large tree that fell down in the detention basin about, 150, 200 feet away. A large white pine. So, I mean, I guess it's been a year or so since this area has been cleared. You'd think if they were gonna go, but I don't know. When
Did
you
it look
open
like
the
they
edge-
were? Did it look like they were big enough to actually reach the house if they fell?
Yeah, I think potentially.
And I'd let him take them down personally, but just
And
Yeah,
those,
it's-
like the trees
Before we
behind
had a-
them,
before.
All the
we
rest of the
had-
trees are staying, so. I mean, I think ideally along these edges, I'm sure some shrubs and stuff will grow in to kind of, soften up the edge and stuff, but.
given that it hasn't been transferred to conservation yet, who
Yeah, I'm not
actually
sure
has,
has the
jurisdiction?
authority.
yeah,
Well, the Conservation Commission holds order of conditions. I don't know, yeah.
but the owner would be the one to approve that, right? So is that still the
Right, so
builder?
he may have to get permission from the builder as well, I would think. Yeah, I mean, I would think that since it is intended for open space, even if it hasn't been transferred yet, they would have to run it by us. There's no wetland near here. The wetland is all pretty far away from here. It's just the open space issue.
Well, I'd be okay with him taking them down. I just want to make sure that he's not taking down somebody's trees that none of us have any jurisdiction over.
Yeah,
Right.
I'm with Marcella on that. I mean, if we have jurisdiction, I'd let him take them down. If we don't, then, I guess whoever owns the property can let him take them down.
I agree. I agree.
All right, lots of
Can
people are
tell-
arriving.
We can tell them that we, are okay with it and that he can take that to the owner and, that might give a little strength to his request.
Yeah. Okay,
But we can vote on that, I suppose. Even though-
yes,
So I'll make the motion that we approve the taking down of the trees that are going to end up in the conservation area. Assuming that the current owner allows it.
Second,
Second.
all right, we'll take a vote.
Alan, I.
David, I.
Marcella, I.
Aye. Looks like the motion passed.
Andy,
Oh.
Oh, sorry.
Mike's
Yeah.
on now, but I'm gonna pass, I'm gonna abstain because I didn't hear the discussion. I just got on.
All right, I guess I lose my status now. All right.
Well, Chris is gonna be joining us. She was on, hopefully she'll be here soon.
And how did things go at the CPC meeting?
They went well, both, the CPC committee voted to, forward both, to town meeting with positive, recommendations.
Cool.
all right, well, we have a few minutes. So I guess I can keep going here. This we're gonna talk about later, Crockett Road. Mike and I went to look at the vernal pool at Pleasant Woods. And we found 4 egg masses. So,
Mike also sent a map that looked like there was some encroachment by an abutter onto that land. Is that been verified, or it looks like somebody pushed their lawn a little too far?
We did, when Mary and I were out there, we just looked at the vernal pool. We didn't go to look at that area.
What egg masses are still at Spotted Salamander?
Spotted salamanders, yeah,
Oh, cool.
yeah. The, we walked in through near Butter's property and he said that he hears wood frogs out here and he's seen spotted salamanders. We didn't see anything swimming around. But there was very heavy leaf litter and there were probably things that we didn't, that we just missed, but this is kind of like a recon. I think next year it'd be nice to go out and actually collect all the data you need to certify it.
all right, and I think it's now 7:45 and I think Chris has arrived, so I'll stop sharing and we can get on with our regularly scheduled meeting.
45, we have a request for determination of applicability for 131 Fowler Street. Construction of pavilion, preparation of service road, installation of erosion control continued from April 10th. So, Mary, do you have an update here?
All right, so let's see if Patrick is here. It looks like he is. Hopefully I got the right Patrick. We're looking for Pat Davidson. And Pat and and Tom had a visit. And I can pull up the aerial. I think when we left this at our end of our last meeting, people were concerned about the beaver issue and just wanted more information on that. And whether a beaver deceiver could be used. And with that, I don't know, do we have Patrick Davidson here?
He was muted.
I am here.
Great.
And so's my dogs.
See, Sandy, you're not alone. You have a dog compatriot there.
I don't know how to get rid of that picture, Patrick, so.
So, Pat's here. Pat, spoke with me and I took a walk out here with him last week. And we looked at the whole beaver complex. I actually had my boots and went wading through the stuff. So as far as the dam closest to the pavilion, that's a secondary dam. That's dammed up from the outlet from Davidson Pond. It is unlikely to get higher than it has been. Davidson Pond, that outlet, actually some years in July and August, no water comes out of it at all. So it's not well, I don't know if it's a perennial stream or not listed, but I know because I live there and I go out there that a lot of times in July and August, there's no water running through there. So the water is unlikely to get higher than it has been. And actually driving by it, it looks like the water has dropped some already. So as far as, and I wasn't at the last meeting, so I'm not exactly sure what the concerns are, but as far as beaver deceiver in that dam, there's no reason for it because the water is never, it's unlikely to ever be a problem for the road or Pat's golf course. The other two dams, the one furthest upstream was the original. They are still maintaining that, but the lodge is abandoned. The second one downstream from that is the active lodge. They're maintaining that. It looks like they're running out of food because they're starting to cut down pine trees upstream. And I think that secondary dam by the pavilion is there so they can access that food source, which is alders, red maples, etc., without actually going up on land. If you walk up behind the golf course, you can see the trails. You know, they get a little far from the water, and I think, you know, they prefer not to do that. They'd rather be in the water to get it. So I don't see any need to actually trap the beavers or do a beaver deceiver because it's just never going, in my opinion, it's unlikely to ever be a problem with the level of the water at that secondary dam.
All right, so Patrick, are you okay with that?
Yes, I agree with Tom. The only issue that we'd have to deal with is the flooding on our first fairway. Like we'd have to lower, something there. And again, the water, he's correct. The water has gone down some and probably will continue. At this point, I'm just trying to, do something on my first fairway to dry it out quicker than Mother Nature may do.
Hey, Pat, if I may interrupt for a second, is that fairway flooded from, because I don't remember now, from the dam, what I call a secondary dam, or is it flooded from the main dam where the beavers are active?
I believe it's the secondary. I think it's the same dam that was causing the water to get close to the pavilion.
Okay, so that dam, in theory, if you open that up, they may or may not block it, but you're, you know, if you need to keep that water low, then you're probably gonna have to put in a beaver deceiver that would work seasonally, because until the beavers move out of there, they're gonna feed in there. And they're
Mhm.
gonna keep it dammed a little bit. And for the dam where they live, a beaver deceiver doesn't work, because I mean you'd have to, it's on the, you know, it's on Warren Brook. That's just a math problem. You can't get enough water through them. So, and we went through that a bunch of years ago down by Sandy's on Warren Brook. It just, beaver deceivers just won't work in a stream like that.
Understood.
But on the secondary one, the one out of Davidson Pond, you know, if you broke the dam, you know, that might work, but they may, you know, patch that back up. So I don't know what you want to do there, Pat, really. I mean, you might just have a little bit of a water hazard. So, but that's up to you and the commission members.
I'm fine as we discussed, and I'll bring up, you know, you had also discussed the fact that if we're able to, you know, to work on the dam to lower the water, I'm completely fine with that. And again, if we have to do it a couple times, I that's fine, in lieu of trapping and killing the beavers. And at one point, I think you had also suggested if we allow that water to get higher and stay higher, their food source is going to die, meaning it's going to kill the maples and whatever that's in there. And I'm certainly fine if it's okay for me to, you know, work on the dam and try to maintain a lower level. That works fine with me. I just, you know, I didn't know that was an option.
Yeah, so you're right about the food source. So that has been dammed up now for, I think they started that dam last fall, but I'm not exactly sure. So
I would
those
agree.
So those
because-
trees have been underwater now since last fall, and if they stay underwater for another season, they're gonna die. And then that is the end of their food source, and that may be the time they move out. But because Davidson Pond, the flow out of Davidson Pond, you know, really gets a lot lower than it is now. In my opinion, just, you know, breaking the dam would probably help with your fairway, you know, the first hole. But I'm pretty sure the beavers would probably build that back. But it doesn't really hurt anything, so I don't have an issue with it. But, you know, the other members may.
I'm okay with that. I don't mind doing a little extra work if that's what it takes.
I'd be okay with that.
I'm okay with that as well.
Is that something that needs to be voted on? Because he'd
Yeah,
be
so
breaking the dam, because he'd be
I
opening
think,
up the dam.
yeah, so his determination was for doing the dam and the trapping. So maybe we'll allow the dam removal.
And not the
Of course, we
trapping.
don't really have jurisdiction over the trapping anyway,
Right.
but yeah, so the dam removal, and then we just need to approve the pavilion. And then the third issue was the service road. And yeah, I think we just, on that, we were maybe gonna put, have them put up a log, whatever, I'm blanking out, but erosion control log to kind of keep the stuff from going over the edge there. But one of the compost
On the
filter
road into the
sockets
golf course? On the road into the golf course?
on the service road that washed out, I don't know that, did he show
Oh,
you
it's down
that?
by the road, down by the dam? I mean, down by
Yeah,
the
yeah.
Davidson Pond?
Yeah,
Correct.
that road,
Okay,
Yeah.
yeah, okay.
yeah, there was
I did fix the road. I don't have any, I hadn't put in erosion control or anything because we hadn't decided what needed to be done.
right. And if, if there needed to be a little bit of a drainage channel. I mean, I guess that's something you can kind of monitor. That seemed like that was a rather unusual event that caused that, but that washout.
Agreed. I drag that road, a couple times a year just to do it for access. And usually it's to smooth it out or something like that. To fill 2 foot wide and 2 foot deep trench running down the road has not happened in my adult life until this
Right.
past season.
Yeah.
And I think, Mary, you and I discussed when we were there, it's not a whole lot different than what happened on the other side of the same hill, being, on Warren Street by Ambrosino's house, same water, same hill, just different end of the hill.
Yeah. Yeah.
Mary, could we motion each item individually and vote on them? How about,
Yeah,
do we have
that sounds good.
for the construction of the pavilion? We have a motion to approve that.
So moved.
How about a
Second.
Second,
Okay, let's do a voice vote. Chris, I.
Tom, I.
Alan, I.
David, I.
Sandy, I.
Mike, aye.
Marcella, I.
It's a unanimous vote of the commission. And repair of the service road. We have a motion for this one.
So moved.
How about a second?
Second.
Let's do a voice vote. Chris, I.
Tom, I.
Alan, I.
David, I.
Sandy, I.
Marcella, I.
Mike, aye.
Okay, and how about the installation of erosion control? A motion for this one.
So moved.
I think,
How about a second?
Second.
Let's do a voice vote. Chris, I.
Tom, I.
Alan, I.
David, I.
Sandy, I.
Mike, aye.
Marcella, I.
Okay, that's unanimous vote of the commission. And how about the breaching of the beaver dam? Let's
So
do,
moved.
how about a second?
Second,
Let's do a voice vote. Chris, I.
Tom, I.
Alan, I.
David, I.
Sandy, I.
Marcella, I.
Mike, aye.
Okay, that's unanimous vote of the commission. And are there any other items that I did not mention?
so I guess that all equals a negative determination of applicability for Mr. Davidson.
Okay,
Uh,
good, Mary. So we vote for negative determination. Let's have a motion.
So moved.
Second.
Okay, Chris, I.
Tom, I.
Alan, I. Alan, I.
David, I.
Sandy, I.
Marcella, I.
Mike, aye.
Okay, that's a unanimous vote of the commission. So Mary will get that drafted and we'll get in touch with you when it's done. Thank you. We
Thank you so much. Thank you for all your time.
Oh, anytime. Okay, and we're actually right on time for a request or determination of applicability for 99 Target Road, installation of a new septic sewage field continued from April 10th.
all
So-
right. So I believe I just allowed our engineer Rauf to talk. We met on site with Rauf and the neighbor Rick Marino, and we looked at the issues, and I can show you pictures actually. Share my screen. All right, and one may have to look at the plans to completely understand this, but this is Mr. Marino's property. This is the fence which borders between the two properties, and he already has on his property kind of a little causeway coming under the fence because water flows that way from the driveway on 77 and from the road. There's actually quite a lot of water that comes off the road, across the driveway, and all funnels down kind of into this area. So he had a catch basin to get some stuff from his driveway. I can't remember when he put that in, but maybe 10 years ago. But he's continually has problems with this getting clogged and isn't very happy with all the runoff coming from the neighbors and from the road, and that is understandable. I think he had the January storm, which caused everybody troubles. It overflowed and went down into, his yard towards the lake. And this is what it looks like on the other side. Here's the fence. There's that little thing. And so they set this up temporarily, sandbags to kind of block the flow from going across there and direct it onto the property in 99. But this leads down, I don't know if you guys remember, it goes down the lawn, and it was actually causing erosion on the steeper side of their property heading down towards the lake. We met with the engineer, though. They agreed to put in a drainage system, and he can explain that better. And he submitted a revised plan showing it. So I will pull up the revised plan and let the engineer explain it.
Good evening, everyone. This is Rauf Mankaris with Alpha Omega Engineering. So as Mary said, we met at the site with a neighbor and we talked about the current drainage issue. Actually, he installed this catch basin, he said, about 22 years ago. It's been working, but with the new rainstorms that's happening, it just is not handling it enough. So we're proposing to add a drainage diverter at the property line, the dark area right there. And also an infiltration area was built from stones, double washed stones wrapped in filter fabric to keep it clean. And this is the maximum we can have to stay the distance we need from the septic system. Beyond that, we can't because we have to be minimum 25 feet away from the drainage system. Other than that, the whole thing went fine. They should take care of the drainage issue that's going to the neighbor. The overflow from that system will go down on our yard, down to the pond, to the lake again. And we also had a meeting this afternoon with the Board of Health regarding the proposed septic and the revised plan you have in your hands, and they approved the plan as it is. So I'm just wondering if you have any questions, let me know.
I think that was the remaining issues with this project.
Do we have any comments from the commission? Any comments from the audience? Or our butters?
Let me see if I'll just make sure the butters can talk. Yeah.
Good evening, Conservation Commission. Can you hear me? This is Rick Moreno, the abutter.
Yeah, we can hear you.
So my only comment is that on this plan that there's a earthen berm that is being proposed, and I just have a concern of how well that will work with the amount of water that will be that it will be trying to shed. So to me, earthen berms just seems like it's going to be packed dirt, and with the amount of water that goes through there is concern for that to erode away, and that's really my only question.
Well, earthen berm are basically made of compacted material like silt and clay that is not going to erode because the water is always going downhill. So the lower area was the infiltration system, so it will hit the infiltration system first. It's just because you have that open area between under your fence, so everything is running toward it. Once we close this area, it will find its own route.
So the earthen berm, I guess I don't quite understand. Are you planning on packing that against my fence, which is actually on my side of the property line?
No, it will be completely on my client's property.
Okay, so this earthen berm will be a double-sided sloped mound. Is that how it can be visioned?
Yes, it's called like a drainage diverter shape. Yes,
I mean, as long as it works, I don't, foresee a problem.
sure.
Now, this is Chris. I have a comment about that and a question. If that earthen berm is constructed, can it be monitored? If it is not working properly, can it be repaired?
Sure. Yeah, we can do, yeah, that can be a condition.
Okay, so that could be in the determination. That could be a condition that if it did not seem to be working properly, maybe done over. If other questions or comments from the commission or the audience? So the plans that we see now, are they stamped with the Board of Health?
The Board of Health voted today to approve it.
Okay, perfect. Thank you.
You are.
Any other questions or comments? Hearing none, would the applicant like to close this hearing?
Yes, please.
Okay, thank you.
You are.
And then we'll vote on this and then have Mary issue the determination. So for the Conservation Commission, we have a motion to close the hearing.
So moved.
How about a second?
Second,
Okay, let's do a voice vote. Chris, I.
Tom, I.
Alan, I.
David, I.
Sandy,
Marcella, I.
Mike, aye.
Okay, that's unanimous vote of the commission. So we will have Mary draft up the determination and that will be forwarded to you as soon as she has that done. Thank you.
Thank you
Appreciate
so much. Have a good night.
it. You too. And we have a little bit of time for our next hearing. So how about if we go to our reports? How about the administrator's report? I don't know if you guys did some of those already.
Yeah, we got started, but we did not finish.
Okay,
Okay, so this was another tree removal, 55 Minnan Street, approved removal of 9 large white pines. You can see the wetland. And they were about, I don't know, between 20 and 30 feet from his garage, and he was concerned that they would come down. So I did grant permission for those as well. Bill Taylor let me know that 130 High Street had started work. We had done a determination for a septic for them. So they had their erosion controls set up. They just forgot about it or didn't know. Everything looks good here, or pretty good. And I did call the applicant and just made them aware that their bounds had to go in before everything was done. Or reminded him. And that is pretty much the end of my report.
okay, excellent. And how about the administrative report? Grace? I will apologize. We're slightly late because the CPC meeting ran over.
Grace, you're muted.
Do you hear me now?
Yes, we can hear you.
Mary, it appears I'm not able to share.
Oh, sorry about that.
No worries. Oh, wrong
Grace
one.
in the office?
Yeah, she had to do a CPC meeting too. She's doing a double header tonight.
Yeah, I'm unable to share, Mary, still.
Still. I want you to just try again, see what happens. Well, would you like, let me try this one. I'm changing host to you, so you might have to change it back.
And while we're waiting, Mary and Grace also put on our webpage that we will be doing our meeting hybrid starting in May. So thank you.
Grace, if it's still not working, I can share for you. If you have something you want me to pull up, let me know.
Yeah, if you just want to display the vouchers,
Sure.
we had a debit voucher and it sucks.
Oh, host has disabled participant screen sharing. Try it again.
So the first expense is Mary's mileage, and then the second was purchasing a mower for the community garden.
When you guys come in green, you turn off the automatic door. But remember to turn it back on. Because the wheel, person who moves you,
Do we have a motion to approve our expenses?
Motion to pay the bill.
Have a second.
Second,
Okay, let's show voice. Chris, I.
aye.
Alan, I.
David, I.
Sandy, I.
Marcella, I.
Mike,
Excellent. Thank you, Grace. And
What happened to Grace?
we also have debit card purchases. So do we have a motion to approve these expenses?
So moved.
So this hasn't actually been purchased yet. If you want to scroll down, Mary,
Oh,
we got a notification about renewing it. And so if the commission approves tonight, I'll go ahead and purchase tomorrow.
Okay, do we have a second?
Second.
Let's do a voice vote. Chris, I.
Aye.
Alan, I.
David, I.
Sandy, I.
Marcella, I.
Mike,
Excellent. It's a unanimous vote of the commission. Thank you, Grace. So Grace, what says obligations, do those amounts need to be subtracted from the balances above?
Yes, I typically subtract them after they're processed.
Okay, thank you. Okay, any questions about our accounts? Okay, thank you.
And we just have one set of minutes to approve.
Okay, we have a motion to approve the minutes of April 10th, 2023.
So move.
So second,
Okay, let's voice vote. Chris, I.
Tom abstain.
Alan, I.
David, I.
Andy, I.
Marcella, I.
Mike, aye.
Excellent. It's a majority of the commission. Thank you, Grace, for doing the minutes. And we're at our open space committee.
I think Bill might sign on. He just came home, so,
Okay, so should we skip over to
yeah.
land stewardship?
Yeah, I just wanted to fill you in on the work that's, SVT and land stewardship started over at the Mechanic Street property on Sunday. We created a connector trail to Stephens, and tomorrow is another work date, which I expect they'll do quite a bit of work. He's got it divided up into two groups, but in the afternoon at 2:30, if anybody wants to go do some trail work, meet at the community garden parking lot, and Dan Stimson will be leading that, and we'll have tools, so you can certainly give a hand if you want. So
You
that's,
want that post hole digger, Marcella?
oh yeah, sure. We need, well, if we meet in person next, do you want to hang on to it for a couple of weeks?
Yeah, I can hold it as long as you want. I was just gonna get rid of it.
Okay.
but You can have it if you want it.
Yep, no, we're happy to use it. I'll stick it in the shed, and I imagine it'll be put to use. Thank you.
All right.
And then community garden seems to be going along as always. I think we have some extra plots this year, but it sounds like people are wanting to use them, so that's good. And that's all I got for now.
Excellent. Thank you, Marcella. Now, to give Bill a little bit of time for our discussion items, we had 17 Shoemaker Lane, tree removal within open space. What's that one about, Mary?
Oh, sorry. Yes, we did discuss this earlier. This was, it's a little confusing because, and we voted to allow the tree removal, but Cobbler's Creek, there were 3 trees that are right on the edge of the cleared line. And after doing a little research, I realized that they cleared everything that wasn't open space, so they would be in the open space. So they would need some kind of permission to cut them, but we weren't sure exactly if it was from us because it's, the project's not final. The open space hasn't been transferred to whoever it's being transferred to. So we approved it, even though we didn't know if we had the right to do so.
Okay. So we'll continue on that one. How about One Dogwood Drive, the easement letter?
Yeah, I just placed that on there. I know Bill and Dennis were maybe gonna get out there soon, but I'm not sure that they have. So it's on there in case they have gotten out there.
How about Bonner Natural Area, possible MOU with Metacomet?
I can speak to that. Been talking a little bit with land stewardship and with Metacomet. I'm in the Metacomet board. About establishing a trail on the Bonner Natural Area. That area is just north of Sweetland Farm and the Whitney Conservation Area. And there is a place on the Whitney Trail System, which is very close to Bonner. So the thought would be maybe to do a loop trail in Bonner. And then to the north of Bonner is Forest Heights, which is town owned. So you could have a connection between basically a Whitney and Forest Heights through the Bonner natural area. I was thinking that one way to handle this might be to do an MOU between the town and or between the commission and Metacomet Land Trust. We do have an MOU with Hopking Area Land Trust that could maybe be used as a model at Rockwood Meadows. And then in terms of actually doing it, it's possible that we could get volunteer support from NIMBA, the Blackstone Valley Mountain Bike Association, or possibly, it could be land stewardship volunteers, maybe even SVT volunteers, because SVT holds a conservation restriction on the property. The Metacomet really at this time doesn't have the resources to establish a trail system there, but it would be a nice connection, a nice trail by itself, and it would be a nice connection to Forest Heights. And I think once we had that connection to Forest Heights, that might be a good time to start opening up a discussion with the selectmen about asking the commission to manage Forest Heights.
Great. Any questions for Mike? And is Bill all set now?
Oh, well, he's waiting to be let in, so.
Oh,
Well, back to Bonner, would some, since I'm on the Metacomet board, I won't make the motion or vote on it, but I mean, I'd appreciate if first, if there's any questions about that, and secondly, if someone could make a motion to entertain an MOU, and I can draft something up for a future meeting. Or if you don't think there's a need for a motion, that's fine.
What's the timeline on doing the work, the trail building?
I don't think there is one,
Well, I'd certainly support doing an MOU with Metacomet Land Trust. So if we need a vote, I'll make the motion to do that.
okay. Do we have a second?
Second,
Second,
Let's do a voice vote. Chris, aye.
Tom, I.
Alan, I.
David, I.
Sandy, I.
Marcella, aye.
Michael abstain.
That's a majority vote of the commission. Thank you. And we have about 7 minutes. So do you have anything for open space?
Yes, so apparently the Community Preservation Committee voted to advance our projects to town meeting, so we'll have a chance to vote on them at town meeting, both of them. I will be meeting with the personal representative of the state, I hope on Friday. They kind of told us to hold on in terms of, thinking we're going to close it soon. They're doing some work to try to determine whether or not they have an easement over the railroad. And if they find that they do, that would change the assumptions that the appraiser made. So we probably have to have a update, and I have no doubt it would be worth more. I think it's unlikely, but we'll wait and see. And so 2 other things, I was approached by essentially the owner of the parcel off of Steffens, the one that's partially under the power line, through his real estate agent, which happens to be Laura Hebb. But in any case, he's interested in, he's asking us whether or not we're interested in buying the parcel. So I'll be talking about that with Open Space tomorrow night. And in addition to that, the owner of a parcel off of Fay Mountain Road, most of it's in Upton, but it's like a 105-acre parcel, 98 acres of which are in Upton. But in any case, he asked me whether or not it might be possible to appraise part of the property. So in any case, another opportunity, and I'll be talking with the Open Space Committee about that tomorrow night as well.
Thank
That's
you,
it.
Bill.
Is that one about Westboro Open Space, Bill? Is that the right? Or is it?
No, this one is on the other side. It's on the south side of the Pike, and it abuts Grafton.
And Forest Heights, it abuts Forest Heights,
Forest Heights, yeah.
which is the town-owned parcel.
But speaking of Westboro, the town meeting did approve, and I don't know if there's any money involved. I think that some acquiring some land, which in Westboro, which does butt Upton off of Westboro, it's off Bowman, if you're familiar with Bowman. So in any case, it's off Bowman and it abuts Upton. And DCR has been pursuing some other land that abuts that, which would fill in a good deal of the land between Westboro Road and North Street. So there'd be the state forest would have frontage on both North Street and Westboro Road. Contiguous. I mean, you'd be able to walk across the state forest. But I'm under the impression that they're having trouble agreeing on a price. So. But that's it. Thanks, Chris.
You're welcome. All these opportunities are keeping you busy, Bill.
Yep.
Okay, now at 8:30, it's like 3 minutes. We have our NOI for 99 West River Street, construction of single family residence with associated site improvement continued from April 10th. So that's in 3 minutes. Do we have anything else to fill in the time?
Can we talk about the trail letter?
Sure.
I don't know if anyone has had a chance to read the draft. It was sent around, but basically it's a draft letter to the DEP asking them to bring some sanity into permitting for boardwalks and trails in wetlands. So the much of this letter is kind of from a model that someone else wrote. Most of the second page is someone else's writing, a suggested format. The first couple paragraphs are I wrote. So I thought it might be worth just discussing our experience with the permitting at the Robertson's conservation restriction area. Might need some editing, just kind of quickly. Just the last sentence even was raised instead of many, maybe several feet above the structure. You could say more here. I tried to keep the letter to just 2 pages.
Yeah, I like adding that sort of our experience paragraph. So I think I'd like to take another look at it and see if we can tighten it up a bit, but make sure that we don't go over the 2 pages, but I think it's important to share our experience.
Yeah, I was thinking it might be good to, if we could add a sentence saying, at this time, the boardwalks haven't been constructed yet or something like that due to the permitting issue, but I don't know. Yeah, it's if you go to the second page, it's mostly all that was the boilerplate that was suggested language. I did add someplace. Oh yeah, for number I added cinder blocks, wooden sleepers. That's my language that I added to their suggested language. Because cinder blocks, if you remember, for Robertson is what like triggered me. DEP considers one of the things that triggered me. DEP considers cinder blocks to be fill.
So Mike, in your letter, you kind of give them a back rub in like the second paragraph on the first page. Maybe you want to start with that. The
That's a
commission,
good thought.
Yeah.
The Upton Conservation is grateful to the Mass
Yeah.
DEP for the
Yeah.
years of work. I would probably start with that before you start criticizing them.
Yeah. I try not to criticize.
Well, I know, Mike, but
Yeah,
you get the
but no,
point.
but anyway, I
If you're gonna
totally
give
agree with
someone a-
your.
if you're
I
gonna
totally
give someone a
agree with
background, give
switching
it to them.
paragraphs around. Yeah, no, that's a good idea.
So want to give them some praise before we give them constructive criticism.
There you go, Chris.
Emphasis on constructive.
It makes
Well,
it
just a little background. The person who really took lead of this and wrote this draft letter, the DP Northeastern region really ticked her off. Let's just put it that way. With some permitting, some comments and things that they did to a project in her town. So that's what resulted in this.
Oh,
But lots of towns are having these issues. We're not alone. That other town in the northeastern region isn't alone.
so is this something that we can work on?
Well, the deadline is soon, so I think what I'd like to do is just make a motion that the commission issue this letter with Marcella and Chris the authority to approve the final letter. I did on that second page. If you can go to the second page, I actually added both Marcella and Chris as signatories to the letter. So.
Well, do we have a second to that motion?
Second.
Let's do a voice vote. Chris, aye.
Tom, I.
Alan, I.
David, I.
Sandy, I.
Marcella, I.
Like and just when you do finalize the letter, please send me a copy and I'll forward it on to the person who's kind of collating these letters. But it also has to be emailed to a specific email address at the DEP.
Okay, are you gonna handle that or?
I can actually handle the distribution. Yeah, but just need to get it to me quickly because I think the deadline is
May 1st.
Yes.
Oh,
yeah.
So
when is it?
May 1st.
Okay, yeah, I'll try to get to it this week.
Yeah, sounds good. Me too. Thank you, Mike.
All right, thank you.
Okay.
You're welcome. And now we have notice intent for 99 West River Street, construction of a single family residence with associated site improvement continued from April 10th. And do we have the applicant here?
Yes, and he's just being added to be a panelist.
Good evening. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, great. Thank you. Peter Bemis, Engineering Design. So I'd like to just start with that we thought we were going to get a DEP file number today. We had a commitment to get one, but one was not issued. Just checked the website again just to see if it was going to get posted late. It wasn't for lack of trying. We've actually paid the fee a second time and submitted everything a second time. So I'm not sure what's happening at DEP Worcester Central Region, but there is a hiring freeze and they're just not getting to these assignments because I'm finding it in other towns as well. I would ask the commission to consider, after I make a presentation, if you're satisfied, to close the hearing. I do just hate to see the client have to wait 2 more weeks when we've kind of already broke ground and started this project, but I'll let you folks decide that. If I can share my screen, I'll show you the final plan that I think should address all the open issues that we've had. Is that okay?
Yeah, please try. I know Grace had trouble earlier, so let me know if you need me to share it.
Okay, thank you. And do you see that?
Yes.
Yes.
Great, okay. So West River is to the right side of the screen here. See if I can get my mouse going in the right place. The driveway, none of these things have changed from a feature perspective from the plan that we had last presented to you. The limit of work is the same as you come down the driveway here. Continues the same till you get to about this point here. And then I've made some edits here. This is basically following the existing tree line of what was cut at the site. This is that heritage limitation for where there's a protection zone. So we're not going into that at all. This is the area where the water is basically a natural spring that breaks out of the slope that Mary had seen and described to you. The wetland scientist that flagged this lot did not see that area. What happens is the water does break out of the slope here, does travel for a distance, and then just infiltrates into the ground. It's highly permeable soils here. There are no wetlands on the site other than there are a couple of wetland plants in this zone. What we thought would be the best way to approach this, considering the fact that this is protectable under your local bylaw, was to just designate this entire area a protective limit. And that's why the shading is here. And to reinforce that, we were proposing to put a 4x4 by 4 foot bound in granite at these positions here in red. So there's a straight line coming off of West River Street to this position. Then we would cut across, following pretty much the edge of what we're replicating for flood zone that we're impacting with our limited filling here and here. And then following the lot right out to the back. So there's an exposed ledge back here. So we would actually set a drill hole in the ledge so that there was the ability to walk this entire line. And this would be something that would be able to have connection in the order of conditions. It could survive the order by referencing it. Order is going to be part of the record for the title for this lot. So the commission would then have the authority over this property. There'll be a new property owner at some point when they do sell it. But then that person buying it would have this reference. They would see this, they'd see this plan, because when we do the order of conditions recording, we can record this as an exhibit. So that everything would cover forward, and you'd have your protections. We as the designers would also have protected the resources that we're both concerned about. And then the future property owner would understand what their rights are and what their limits are on the lot. So there's a second sheet to this set. I'll just roll this forward. You'll just see that information just keeps repeating. This is the septic system plan for the lot. So we basically amended that so that those same details came forward on this plan, so that someone picked this up, they would see the same information repeating. So I'd be happy to answer any questions. Oh, I know one other thing I forgot. When I spoke to Mary, I did agree that we would infiltrate our stormwater from our roof. So there will be roof drains. I did not put that on the plan. I'm sorry. But I would ask that you could put that in as a condition. You will get an as-built from us as part of this to bring closure to the order of conditions to get the certificate of compliance. And at the time of the as-built, we would show those infiltration chambers going in. For a site like this with this highly permeable soil, we put in a Cultec Recharger 150, and we would need one of those at each end of the house. So I would ask that if you're again inclined to support this evening, you just make that a condition, and you will get that on the as-built. I just hate to have to revise the plan again just to put that on there. When we get, again, highly suitable site to infiltrate stormwater. So again, thank you for your time, and I appreciate it. And I'll stop the share, and if you need the plan back up again, I'll bring it back up.
Thank you, Peter. Mary, what were your comments?
I see Alan has his hand raised. I don't know if he has anything to say. Have his hand raised. I just had a question, Peter. We actually got a complaint in the office about work being done there today. The neighbor was complaining about noise. And I was just wondering, are they working on the site today?
If they were, it's unbeknownst to me. I mean, we can't go forward until we get the order to
Yeah.
do much more. You know, I can't imagine there was that much activity there, but you know, hopefully they're being respectful to the neighbor, not starting early, working within your local requirements for sound. I'll remind the property owner and the proponent of that. But there's nothing can be done until we get this straightened out. We need an order of conditions. I do believe they filed for their building permit, but again, I wouldn't expect you to sign off on that until the order's issued.
Right. Yeah, they may, I wonder if they were blasting or something, because whatever it was noisy. I don't know.
Okay.
Or maybe it was a different property, who knows, but the neighbor
Yeah.
did call, complain.
Okay.
Okay, questions from the commission? Questions from the audience? And the one thing I wanted to mention here, I understand the frustration with the DEP not getting the number of things in a timely fashion, but typically we don't tend to close a hearing until we have the number, because that puts us in a situation that we have a time limit ourselves to get the order issued out, but if we can't do that either. So we usually typically do not close hearings until we have the DEP number.
I respect that. I understand. I needed to ask it for the client's sake.
Well, but I'm sure that once the number is out, Mary and the commission will get the order ready and available as soon as possible. So I know that's putting everyone in a bind.
All right. Yeah, Mary, if you could just put a draft together, I don't expect you to know, there won't be any conditions there that I'm concerned about. I'm sure of that. And is it acceptable to do that about the stormwater? Is that okay that we'll give it to you as an as-built? Okay, thank you. I appreciate that. Well, then I will continue to your next available meeting.
Okay.
And look forward to closing it then. Appreciate your time.
Yes, thank you, Peter.
Okay.
So we continue this hearing until our next meeting at, do we have anything at 7:30, Mary?
7:30 would be perfect.
Okay, perfect. So that way we can get this one done first thing. Okay, so thank you, Peter. And we'll
Okay.
hope that the DEP gets this all soon, and we'll get our part done
Mm.
as quickly as we can.
Right. Well, we'll start a letter writing campaign too. Thank you. Have a good night.
You too.
Bye-bye.
Okay, now we have 8:45. This intent for Mechanic Street Conservation Parcel, construction of parking lot and stream crossing. So, Mary, do you have the NOI to read?
The public meeting notice is hereby given in accordance with the Wetlands Protection Act that the Upton Conservation Commission will hold the following public hearings on Wednesday, April 12th or April 24th, 2024 at 8:45 p.m. A notice of intent filed by the Upton Land Stewardship Committee for the construction of 5 boardwalks, stream crossings, and a parking area at Mechanic and Fowler Streets, map 14, lots 48 and 55.
Okay, so, who would like to discuss this project for us?
Marcella, do you want to do it, or should I do it, or Mary, do you want to just
I can
think
pull
there's
it up.
I know I can speak briefly. Basically, there's a new trail system being planned on the Mechanic Street property, and yeah, perhaps you could scroll through to the figure that shows. There it is, and the green lines are new trails. They will connect up to the pink lines, which are existing trails at Steffens Farm Open Space. There are 5 stream crossings, all intermittent stream crossings, shown A, B, C, D, and E. And only at one of them, at D, is there a small bordering vegetated wetland impact, around 70 square feet or so, or well, possibly a little more depending on how wide the boardwalk is made. I'm not sure. Mary, do you have the table? Is that
Yes.
so? So this shows, yeah, it goes to 64 to 80 for at D. The others, there's really no BVW on either side of the intermittent streams, and Mary has verified that. The boardwalks are going to be typical boardwalks with decking, pressure treated, possibly some with, yeah, thank you. Yes, here's the crossings, typical boardwalk. SVT is committed to constructing these. Site A will be wider and designed to handle horses. Be 5 foot wide, and we're proposing to do the fiberglass reinforced panel design that was recently used at Warrenbrook. And that involves putting down the fiberglass and then covering it with geotextile and pea gravel. The others will be just wooden boardwalks. So I guess any questions first on the trails, on the trail crossings? And Marcella, if you have anything to add.
No, just that I know that Dan has been in touch with Bob Hatch to discuss the possibility of doing the FRP panel, doing that crossing where the horses are going to need to get over a stream. And I hope they get the funding to do it, because that really would be an ideal use of this design in that location. So I'm not sure where it stands now, but hope it works out. We cleared the trail along up to the stream crossing and beyond it, so it's kind of like ready to go. And I think that there's plenty of access to bring materials in by a vehicle. So we should at least close enough to do some work. So should be good.
Okay. Thanks, Marcella. I guess could you scroll back up, Mary, to the parking area plan, unless there's any other questions about anything else. That's okay. Okay, so we've
This is the
revised
old
this plan.
one. Yeah.
Yeah.
I have a new one.
Mary visited the site and she realized there was a problem with this plan, so I made some revisions. And here they are. Okay, so this is the Mechanic Street parking area plan. This is a GIS created plan. The commission decided some time ago not to hire an engineer to do the drawing. So hopefully this will pass muster with the commission and the DEP. The feature, there's a parking area shown. The closest the parking area will be to the wetland is 30 feet. The wetlands were delineated, by the way, by Scott Heim. And the closest the parking area will be to an intermittent stream, which occurs on the site, is around 65 feet. You see those two arrows. We'll install erosion controls. The plan will be to basically hire a contractor to excavate the parking area, probably down a foot or so, and remove the topsoil with gravel and compact it. There will be an apron leading to Mechanic Street, so not the entire edge of Mechanic Street will be gravel parking lot. There'll be an apron, but I'm not exactly sure where the apron will be yet.
I don't think we're required to put an apron in.
Well, it'll be a gravel apron.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
Not-
yeah, it won't be, I think we got a waiver or a approval from, if I remember, from DPW not for it not to be paved. But there'd be maybe an entrance to the parking area from Mechanic Street's not shown. Maybe that'd be a better way of putting it. But, and then the other part of this project is to build a small wetland replication area, which is the hatched area. And the intent is to create about 400 square feet of vegetated wetland, which will compensate for wetlands disturbed by the boardwalk here on this property, the King Street property, and at the Robertson Conservation Restriction, where there's about 240 square feet of impact. If we do this, we won't need to worry about the boardwalk design so much. If you remember, the DEP basically asked us to either replicate or put the boardwalks on piles, which would be really, really hard to do in a place where you've got stony soils. And it doesn't even make sense because part of the current regs say that, you know, you can use piles, but you're not supposed to have a shading impact. So if you have a boardwalk that's, you know, even a foot or two, a foot and a half above the wetland surface, which is what we'd have here for most of these, there's a shading impact. I mean, even at 3 feet tall, you know, there'd be really a shading impact. So that's part of the reason why, for that letter, we'll try to explain to DEP that there's a problem with their current way they're approaching regulating these things. But anyway, the wetland replication area would be constructed. Either I would supervise it, or maybe Scott or Mary would supervise construction of it. And it would get us out of jail basically when it comes to using piles, you know, helical piles at any of these areas. And Mary's change was a good one. Way it was drawn previously, there were some trees in that area. In this particular area, I went back out there this morning, and I think it's quite possible to build a replication area roughly in this location without impacting any large trees. And you can see there'd also be a connection with the existing BVW adjacent to the stream. So meets the performance standards of a wetland replication area in the regs.
Thanks. Do you have a DEP number for this?
What do you think, Chris? Yeah, someday. No, not yet.
Okay. Does anyone have questions about this?
Yes, please.
Yes. Okay, Becky.
Yes, I have a question about the other boardwalks. Where those are situated, is there going to be room to bypass those boardwalks for horseback riders to get around them?
Yes, Becky, that's the thought, that those other 4, you know, the boardwalks, pedestrian boardwalks, will be hopefully put off the side a little bit, and then horses could just ford these streams. All of them have fairly shallow banks. The only one that might conceivably, this is the one that we would use the fiberglass panels at. It's you can't really tell from the photograph, but it's pretty deep little slope there.
Okay.
And go through all the rest, you know, again, there's room. It's just a shallow ford through some, you know, some just shallow. It's not. This one is only about maybe 8 feet wide. It's just like a little muddy channel. This is the one where there's some BVW. It's probably around 32 foot wide or so, something like that. Again, there's very little slope, so we're assuming horses could ford it.
Is the ground underneath that, is it
It's solid.
stable?
It's solid. Yeah,
Solid?
it's rocky.
Okay.
You know, I mean, there might be some. You certainly might leave some footprints or horse footprints, but it's not mucky.
Well, as long as they're not sinking up to their knees.
That would not happen. And then the last one, this is the one, you know, Becky, I wasn't really thinking horse trap, but this one maybe could be wider because, you know, maybe it won't be very long, and it's probably only going to be about a 16-foot boardwalk, but you know, but again, it's not. It'd be a little. I know that the soils are a little bit muckier than any of the other areas proposed for Fords. So, I mean, we could conceivably, you know, go for a 5-foot wide boardwalk here to accommodate horses if we, you know.
Or the other option is, I don't know how easily accessible that is right there, be putting down, have you ever heard of Triax?
Nope.
It's a polymer woven, fairly flat. I'll kind of call it a diamond weave type of thing, that you put a layer of that down. Bob Hatch would explain this a lot better because he's used it extensively too on trail work. But you put a layer of that down, I think 1.5 inch stone on top of that, then a little bit of processed gravel on top of that, and that gives you your solid footing.
So that's basically put right in the stream channel.
I wouldn't put it in the stream channel. I would put it on either side of the stream channel.
On the banks.
Correct.
Okay. Well, you know, why make a suggestion if run this by Marcella too, if SVT is going to be contacting Bob Hatch, maybe have him look at this area. And
I'll contact Dan and let him know and ask him to do that.
And see. I had assumed the horses would just walk across it, but this area would get probably a little muddier than.
Yeah, and the soil is softer there, so there might, you know, they're not going to go down to their knees, but you know, they might sink in it. So it's a good idea to do something here.
Now, one thing we don't think the parking lot probably won't be big enough for horse trailers, but just we're limited by wetland setbacks there. But certainly someone could ride their horse down Mechanic Street and enter the trail system through here.
Or I could go visit Bill and Angie.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah.
Do we have other questions from the commission or the audience? Yes, this one will have to be continued, seeing as we're still waiting for a DEP number. So how about if we continue this till 7:45 at our next meeting, which will be May 2nd. Wednesday of May. And second Wednesday of May is the 8th. And that's when we'll be having a hybrid meeting. Also at the town hall and hybrid. So does that sound acceptable to people?
Yep.
Excellent. It looks great with all the diagrams. And that will give people time to consult other people about the trail materials. And we have 9:05 and we're 5 minutes early. So any other questions or comments about anything we haven't discussed?
I believe we have a visitor here that wants to talk about an issue. I'm looking at Barbara Noyes. Were you on here for the Maple Ave? Or maybe you're just, I'm just, maybe not, but,
She abuts this property. The McCann
oh,
Street.
okay. 'Cause there's,
Not on
there was
Fowler-
another.
She lives on Fowler Street.
Okay, there was another noise, I think it was Alan Noise, but I wasn't sure if this was related, he's been emailing me, keeping asking, and I thought, oh, I wonder if he showed up because I never get back to him. So, maybe if that's not it, that's perfect. I'll remember to email him.
Thank you, Mary. Okay, so we have 4 minutes. Anything else to discuss?
I think, just Chris had suggested that we use the downstairs room in town hall, so just be prepared to go there next time.
Sounds good.
And it will be, although there will be an opportunity to be remote if you have to be. But I think in general, the board members are supposed to be in person for the most part.
It should be a great thing to finally see people in person.
Speak for yourself, Chris.
And Abe.
I might use the word horrifying rather than great, but you know, no, I'm just kidding. It'll be interesting. It's been
I'll
what,
have to put my shoes on.
yeah, no more pajamas for me, you know.
Oh, come on. I'm getting so it's comfy.
But it's been what? It's been what, 3-4 years now?
Yes. Yes.
It's been a long time.
I'll tell you what, why don't we all just wear our comfy clothes anyway? And we can wear our jammies and no one can critique us. This is, you know, we hold our perks. We get few of them.
And bring some food with us.
Oh yeah, exactly.
As long as we're not gonna make a mess.
I bet we could start 1 minute early, Chris.
Okay, so 9:05, Bills intent 123 Glenview Street, construction of a single family house. So Mary, do you have the?
Yeah, public meeting notice. Notice is hereby given in accordance with the Wetlands Protection Act that the Upton Conservation Commission will hold the following public hearing on Wednesday, April 24th, 2024 at 9:05 p.m. A notice of intent filed by Fraser Benya and Alex Guerrieri, for the construction of a single-family home, attached garage, paved drive, detached shed, removal of trees, invasive species, as well as other work related thereto at 123 Glenview Ave. All invited parties are invited to participate. Complete copies of the applications are available upon the commission's website. And I think I need to allow the engineer to speak. All right, so hopefully you can share your screen now, Brian, whenever you're ready.
Good evening, Brian Waterman from WDA Design Group. How's everyone?
Good, how are you?
Doing good. We're here on behalf of Fraser and Alex, the owners and proponents of the single-family home at 123 Glenview Street. As we may recall, we had a kind of informal meeting with the commission in March regarding meeting with Mary on site and seeing if they could continue some site work up to the 50-foot setback. We did that site walk. The contractor has since installed a snow fence at the 50-foot to kind of clearly identify the limit of getting the driveway down to that section and continuing some of the site work. They had recently installed a staked and entrenched silt fence backed by straw wattles at the 30-foot no disturb zone, which is still in place currently. We walked the site with Mary, the contractor, and Frazier and Alex. Mary reviewed the wetland delineation and was in agreement with the line as delineated. This wetland is actually, it's an interesting area as it falls within what is the historic, there's an old historic roadway bed. I can share my plan if you want, Mary, or if, okay, you've got it.
I have pictures, but when you're ready to share your plan, I'll stop sharing.
Yeah, I can point out the area here. Let me see if I can share this. Let's see. Share. Okay. Can everyone see this?
Yeah.
Okay. So we have Glenview Street here off to the west. And there's a road drainage channel along the west side of Glenview Street, and this heavy blue line is a culvert and head wall. So the drainage from here bleeds into this channel onto the property, and it reforms. There's a bank here of anywhere from 2 to 4 feet along this edge that was part of the old roadway. Let me see if I can maximize this. Come on. My screen is not cooperating. And so you have an intermittent seep from the channel when it flows, which has formed over time this wetland channel, which is on the historic plans, this dash line. This is the old roadway that was noted in the historic plans. And there's about a 3 to 4 foot cut, you know, if you're standing on this side, that is down into the channel, and then the road drainage reconfigures in here. So you've developed some red maples and winterberry and some other species within this area. So you do have what's a wetland system now that's formed on this property. The lot is 3 acres, and the applicants have been clearing dead trees that were overrun by the Oriental bittersweet. There's some vines out here that are 2-inch diameter and 30 to 40 feet up the trees. So they've been doing an ongoing battle. The yellow you can see highlighted on this particular sheet is existing trees that we've survey located. There are some of the vines, and they've cut them, a foot section out of them to try to stop them from killing the existing trees in this area. So any of these trees that are labeled, and these are mainly some large oak trees, some maples, quaking aspen. There's a grove of sassafras here and here that they are trying to, they've kind of flagged off and are hoping to save these groves of sassafras trees. So everything in yellow here is survey located. We wanted to clearly identify where these were in the field, and they're very nice, desirable trees to keep. This is the boundary that we walked and Mary's in agreement with. We do have the 30-foot no-touch zone here. This dash green is the 50, and then the highlighted yellow line out here is the 100-foot buffer zone. So again, most of this 30 to 50 is already, this was old field and it was overgrown. I know when we got involved with the project, our survey crew, they weren't happy after they went on this site. They had to crawl on their hands and knees under some of these areas to get the locations. But You can walk it now. They've kind of removed a lot of the vines. There's blackberry, poison ivy. So the plan here would be to restore a majority of this 30-foot zone. All the green, the dark green circles you see here are proposed new trees and shrubs, native trees and shrubs. And the pink shading that you see here is to restore some meadow area, hopefully to outcompete some of these invasive vines and other things. And this pink shaded meadow area that's proposed would be an overseed with a New England conservation and wildlife mix. You can see we've asked for a variance for this portion of the garage that's into the 50. Everything's kept out of the 30. And the shed is outside the 30. It's just inside the portion of the 50. But with outside the area that we're proposing to do restoration. The reason for the siting of the home here is this is a future net zero home. It has a design approved septic system here. It will connect to the municipal water in Glenview. But other than that, the energy rating and going to solar on this will render it a net zero home. So the home was sited here mainly to take advantage of the future solar, and the abutter here has a large pool area, and so they've tried to also, you know, this works for the solar. It also helps give a greater separation to this pool area. And you can see the extensive planting that they're proposing to do, not only on this side of the site, but along this boundary. And this is twofold. It helps remove a lot of the invasives that have overtaken the site. There's still quite a few along this area. So we were, you know, I think we can go back to Mary's photos, but you can see some of the site. You know, this is not really a naturally occurring wetland or pristine wetland, but it has some nice features now that have developed over time. So with the removal of some of these invasives along here and restoring this with meadow and native trees and shrubs, we're asking for the variance to allow a portion of the building to be within the 50. The driveway is actually not going to be paved. It's a proposed gravel drive. We're also proposing to take all the roof runoff and divide it into 2 rain gardens, one here to the north and one here to the east. So the rooftops will be discharged to these rain gardens. These 2 circles here that are dashed, excuse me, are 2 large dead ash trees, which they're proposing to cut to about 15 feet and leave the stumps for nesting habitat, but to take away the fall risk to the house area, but they would leave the stumps at about 15 feet height. Like I said, right now there is this heavy purple line is the erosion control barrier that's installed currently. And then there's along the 50-foot area here is the new snow fence. That was to limit the work here so they could continue working on the access drive coming in. I know Mary had a couple comments about a construction entrance. We can show one on the plan, or that could just be written into the order of conditions that one has to be installed before, you know, things start moving and trucks start moving in and out of this area. Let me think, what else? I think, do you want to switch back, Mary, and to the photos and we can go through those? Unless anyone has some questions on the plan right now.
Well, actually, while you have the plan up, I guess So eventually you're gonna have to move these erosion controls that are at the 30-foot because there's
Correct.
grading that's going on. Right up close up to the wetland. And that's
Yeah.
to make room for the garage, et cetera, right?
Yeah, what we would do is, this was kind of keep everything from not going past that at this point. If the commission is amenable to the variance request, the way this is, this will get reset along the boundary of the wetland, which is, it's a staked and trench silt fence backed by straw wattles. And as I was talking to you, Mary, we can probably pull this grading back a bit so that we give ourselves a little more setback for the erosion control barrier here. And as you saw in the field, there's anywhere from typically a 2 to 4 foot bank here, so we wouldn't be discharging directly into that.
Yeah, so I think just for the commission to be aware that not only do they need a waiver from the 50-foot for the garage, but also a waiver from the 30-foot for some of the work that's going on in there, which will be, I think, basically restored, except for the grading will be different. And the rain garden, I think a rain garden is fine, probably to have, you know.
In the 30,
rain-
yeah.
Yeah, so that's kind of the main thing. And I guess I also had a question this is the line, Brian, that I had questions about earlier on the phone. Is that a fence or what is that line?
Which one? I'm sorry, Mary.
Oh, that's right. You can't see my cursor. So,
Can you see my cursor? Is it?
yeah, so I would say go to the right past the erosion controls to that yellow edge of tree line, keep going, and then there's a line right there that runs to the top to the bottom, not the dotted one.
Line right there?
Nope. Just over that looks, nope. It's a line with parallel to that yellow line that you had
Oh, right
shaded.
there, yes. That's a proposed fence that runs up and ties to the house right here with a gate.
Okay, that's a fence. All right.
Yeah.
Okay, and
I
so the
believe-
fence, it looks like, is also going into that 30-foot, right?
They ran it. Let me see if I can zoom up here. Why is this thing not functioning? That's the 30. It's right on the 30 right there.
Okay.
And then there it is. It's in the 30. Yes. So we could probably make some adjustments on that as well. It'll protect it, and this is going to be restored with the plantings on the back side of the fence.
Yeah, I think Fraser, if you have some comments, you can go ahead.
Yeah, I just wanted to add that the fence is designed to be a split rail fence, so it's not like a wall of wood, just something to demarc the area where we would have yard space.
Okay. Yep.
So it would allow wildlife movement if that's a concern. So.
Mm-hmm. All right. Yeah, so I guess we can go to my pictures now.
I stopped sharing. So.
All right, and this is the site kind of looking towards the house site from kind of near the road. And so the wetland is on your left here. Maybe I'll zoom in a little bit. This is just showing the lower portion of the wetland where it's more herbaceous and it widens out a little bit. And this is the upper portion, which is more, you can see where the old roadway was with the stone wall there. And now it's become a intermittent stream / drainage ditch. And they have their erosion controls installed. Looks great. Again, the wetland is running up and down on the other side of the erosion controls. And so I think I already talked about most of my comments. Just for the commission to be aware that they're proposing, you know, that some of that work within 30 foot. And the only other question, they're gonna do the construction insurance. The only other question I would think would be, you know, if bounds would be required and where they would go. So, yeah, that's the rest of my comments. I was thinking bounds could go, in fact, depending on what the commission thought, you know, if they have that split rail fence there, we could put a couple bounds near the fence. The fence can kind of act as a natural barrier, although it is not exactly along the 30 foot. And then maybe a bound at the corner of the driveway, and then maybe a few more closer to the road, 1 or 2 more.
Mary, are you talking like concrete bounds or?
Yep, concrete, we typically do 4x4 concrete bounds with a medallion on it.
Okay.
They would need to be noted on the plans.
Yeah.
Do you allow any other type of monumentation like iron rods or signposts with signs or?
Commission, and I'm not, this may not be, your plan is much prettier.
I can bring it back up if you want.
Yeah, sure. I think the commission typically, it looks for the bounds, but every once in a while they make exceptions to that. So, yeah, I'll stop sharing.
Are you talking set at the 30-foot setback then?
That's where they typically put them. So I think that would be a question here, as to where exactly you'd put them, because there's, you know, because of the fence and stuff like that.
We could mark something up and share it with you, and you can take a look at it and see if it's something that you think would work. So
We usually try and have the bounds in places where the line changes direction.
okay, sure.
So they don't need to be that close together, but where things change. And I would say the design plans that we've seen so far look like they're very environmentally considerate. So that's great. So I appreciate that quite a bit.
Yep.
Does anyone have any questions or comments at this point?
Yeah. Hi, this is Tom. I have a question. I'm having a tough time with my video here. Anyway, sorry. So that aside, so you said the house is a proposed net zero. Is that what you said?
Yes.
Okay, so what exactly does that mean?
Well, I'll defer to Fraser and Alex on that one.
So it's designed and built to use no more energy than it generates. So the solar generation that's being proposed to be installed on the roof, combined with the high insulation levels in the walls and high performing windows, help to limit any heat transfer from inside to outside, so that the amount of energy used becomes as close to zero as possible relative to the amount that's generated between excess that might be generated and put back into the grid, or just used directly on site.
Okay, so I don't know how many people live in your home or will be living in your home, but is that realistic in New England to have a net zero house with solar?
That's the industry that I work in, and we've modeled this specific design, and we've been able to show in the models, which use actual data to show that we'll be able to do it. And yeah, it's while it's not it's not 1 out of every 2 homes or anything that are meeting this criteria, it's certainly doable, and it's becoming certainly more common in my industry. Yeah.
It's been designed to meet the Mass Saves tier 2 level for the state, and that will make it net zero once the solar panels are installed.
Okay, all right, thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Do we have any other questions or comments from the commission or the audience or the applicants? 'Cause unfortunately, we've seen this tonight that the DEP doesn't have the numbers yet.
Yeah.
So to continue this, and then they'll give time to make changes to the plans as we discussed.
Yep. Yeah, and hopefully by the next meeting, we'll have a DEP file number.
We hope so.
Yeah, we'll keep pushing them.
I know. So our next meeting is the 8th of May. And I believe, how about if we continue this until 8 o'clock?
Okay.
And 8th of May, we'll be doing this hybrid, and we can be in the town hall, first floor, or
Yeah.
the level, or you can be virtual.
I may have to be remote because I think I'm scheduled for 2 or 3 hearings that night. So I'll get that figured out, but
Okay.
thank you.
Oh, you're welcome. So, any other questions from anyone? Okay, great. Thank you very much. And I hope you have a good night. And it's interesting to look at your proposal.
Thank
Great.
you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Good night.
Good night. Thank you. Okay, for the commission, do you have anything else to discuss? And I have to definitely thank Grace for doing both meetings back to back and still being at the town hall right now. You're probably the only one that's still there tonight. And Mary, anything else for you? You guys have done a great job. And so do we have a motion to adjourn our meeting?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
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 Thank you.